Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Now a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Philip Simon, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, and David Wayne Foster. So a huge thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'll hand over to Google and Discord so you can enjoy whoever is in there chatting away while I set up for today's live show.
No reception all morning. Yes, since 6 o'clock in the morning. The show starts, no internet.
Say that again. No
Nothing,
reception.
I'm good. I said I had no problem all morning. Had Arwen show on.
Oh, reception. I see.
Listening.
Okay.
Nathan show starts, no reception. I'm on the job site.
It's working now.
Yeah, it's working now. So let me give you a quick update on my car. So my check engine light just went off miraculously, so I'm trying to get it inspected. So the guy in the Bronx kept telling me, no, he showed me the flashing things on the diagnostic. He said, these two can't be flashing. You got to drive the car more.
Mhm.
So for 2 days, I'm driving it around the Bronx. He still can't give it to me. So I said, hell with this. Friday, I went home. That's about 100 miles to my house from here.
Okay.
So I get home, no light on the whole way. So I get off like 4 exits before my house because I know an auto shop there.
Uh-huh.
Let me just slide in here. This guy will give me one. I go in there. He's about ready to close when he says, all right, can you guys talk to a couple of kids working there, young guys. They said, yeah, we could give him an inspection. Freaking guys failed me because of broken sway bar, but I passed the emissions part. So I'm like, I got no luck with this freaking vehicle.
The sway bar. What's
Yeah,
that got to do with
broken sway
emissions?
bar in the back. So now I got to go. Yeah, that's what I say. Now I got to go back there today after work for them to do the job. And my check engine light is back on. So, but he told me, because I told him, I said, Jim, if I pull out of here, I'm telling you, this light's going to go on within the next 10 miles. He goes, I don't care. Fix the back thing and I'm going to pass you because you passed emissions right now. So we'll see what he does today when I go there.
All right.
But the crazy thing is I got water coming in because I still haven't fixed that.
Window leak.
The petrol or diesel?
Yeah, they're telling me that you got hoses, like drains that go to the front and the back on each side. The water leaves in the rear and front tire wells, and mine are broken on both sides.
Is it petrol or
So
diesel?
like water gushing on me on the left side and the right side. I'm shoving freaking towels in there and they're filling up so fast. I can't wring them out fast enough to put them back in. I'm telling you, I wanted to drive the car through a wall, but my family was with me. So anyway,
Yeah, the thing about BMWs and Mercedes.
that's
and,
not Mercedes. This is a Pathfinder.
Oh,
Yeah. This is my new one. This is the one that's supposed to be good to me.
Well, it's obvious it just wants to be a summer car.
Hey, so you heard anything from Globebusters?
I have no idea what's going on.
Okay, they were talking about the flight. You know, I think Anthony had the pilot on, the one I said looks like Joe Biden. That
The
guy
flight?
that they'll fly you anywhere. The flight from I think Chile to, where is that place again?
Oh, Santiago, Chile to.
Yeah, the one they always harp on about.
Okay, fill me in.
So Jaron was saying that he goes, if it happens and it turns out, I would have to recalculate everything and go back to the drawing board. And Bob was like, "Yeah, man, I guess if that flight did happen and it'll prove it a ball." And then finally, John the Morgile said, "What the heck would that prove anyway? That wouldn't change my mind, not the slightest."
These people are
I said,
nuts.
"Finally, a voice of reason."
Uh,
These flights.
yeah,
Well,
how about
Whitsitt got
R?
out.
How
Whitsitt
about
got out of prison.
listen? How about R?
That's what I'm thinking. And the whole time they're talking about this, I'm like, I guess they never heard of the Black Swan or they don't understand the argument.
It's the Black Swan destroys the globe model instantaneously.
This is my this is what drives me crazy with these cats.
Who cares about a flight, about Earth? We're not even sure how everything is. And I remember.
That's what the Morgul was saying. He's like, yeah,
Well,
we
I
don't even
remember.
know how anything is.
Listen,
What
I
the heck
remember a
would that
military.
prove?
I remember a military flight that was leaving the west from west to east. It was going somewhere in Europe. It was a big transport plane of some kind. I can't remember. And they got there like 3.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken, before they're supposed to. And it was like they could do the flight in, say, X number of hours, but they always did it in XY number, meaning, say the flight only took, just as an example, say 7 hours. That flight would never happen in 7 hours, even though they did it that time in 7 hours. It normally takes, say, 11 or 12. And for some reason, they always kept that 11 or 12, except on this one flight, they got there quicker. Same route, same everything. It's like, what the heck?
1 second,
Yeah,
guys.
I don't
Hold on,
understand what the
Neil,
problem is.
Neil,
I
just 1
don't
second.
get it.
Can you hear me, Neil?
Yeah.
Okay. Third attempt. Thanks, Righteous. I hadn't realised that was. Can you pop yourself on mute, 10th? Just a sec. I hadn't realised I was on mute in Discord, so you can't hear us. But thank you for popping in. As soon as I saw you pop in, I realised there was something wrong. It's because of ballbusters.
Why, you couldn't hear me? I couldn't hear you? You were
Neil,
talking to me?
Neil, hold on. Thank you, Righteous. I'm sure you can't hear me, Neil.
I can hear
Try
you.
once more. Thanks, Neil. I'll try and be less subtle. Please pop yourself on mute while I talk to Righteous Subtle.
Okay.
Thank you. Subtlety ain't your strong point, Neil. Thanks, Righteous.
You're welcome, Nathan.
No worries.
There's no subtlety with Neil. You just got to be like a New Yorker with him.
I'm on a freaking job site. I don't know what's going on. He said, Neil, I'm sure you can't hear me. So I'm saying, why? You were talking to me the whole time?
See?
I don't know. Now I know.
My point proven. I love it.
I was asking if your car was diesel. Has it got a particulate filter that needs to get up to temperature before it'll engage and burn off all the crap that's carbon-based in the exhaust? Does it have a DPF filter, in other words?
I don't know.
Is it diesel?
I don't have a diesel, no.
It's a petrol. Oh, then it doesn't matter. Ignore me.
Yeah.
But it just sounds
He's
like
gonna pass. The guy said he's going to pass me anyway today,
Well,
even
if
if
you've
the light's on. So
you've done a 100-mile journey. What you've done is you've given it the old Italian tune-up. You know what that is?
no, fill me in.
An Italian tune-up is just when you rag the car a little bit just to get everything up to temperature, and it burns off all the crap that's left in the exhaust because it gets nice and hot. So that's what we have to do on my wife's car because it's tuned. So if you just take it to the garage for an inspection, it'll fail. So before it goes for an inspection, you've got to absolutely rag the nuts off it to burn off all the crap that's built up in the exhaust. And, it takes maybe, 20 or 30 miles of driving it. Not necessarily hard, but, if you took it on motorway at 70 miles an hour, for instance, that would do the trick. If you stayed on the motorway for 10 or 15 minutes, you just get everything nice and hot. And then you take it to the garage and then it passes.
Yeah, but for some reason, my light just keeps coming on. My check engine light keeps coming on. I know what the problem is. The guy went under the car, shut it off, turned it on. He went under it, had another guy shut it off and turn it on, and he said, whoever did the exhaust job, there's a leak on the right side passenger. One of the gaskets is not on right, and it's leaking, and you're never going to pass. So I got to get that fixed. But this guy's going to pass me today after he puts the sway bar on. But anyway, back to flat Earth.
Well, let me confirm what Nathan said, because I took a car in for a smog check here in California, and the guy says, all right, go drive it at least 50 miles. You may have to go 100. So what Nathan's saying is exactly right.
Yeah, we call it an Italian tune-up.
Yeah, I agree. Once they clear that, but I don't care if you drive at 200 miles. If that check engine light is on, then they're not going to do it. They can't do it. In New York, that is. They will not do it.
Well, my light was on, but after I drove it, it went off, just like Nathan said. And then it came back on later.
Yeah, well, look, I just drove. I was driving all over Connecticut and back home. It's been on the whole time. So whatever that guy says the problem is, that's it.
All right. Well, we got 3 minutes of showtime. So what do you want to talk about, Neil?
Well, what they were talking about on ball buses about this stupid flight, how it was going to change everybody's mind if it did turn out
What?
that it didn't work on it. Yeah.
Was I not paying
Sure.
attention? What are you talking about? We weren't talking about that.
They were talking about the flight, the Chile flight, that stupid flight that all these Globers talk about. And Jerem was saying, well, we should push them to book the flight. And if it just so happens that it turns out the way that's more conducive to a ball, then I have to recalculate and rethink everything. And so did Bob. Bob agreed with him, and the voice of reason was John the Morgile. He comes in, he says, "I don't know why that would change your mind. That wouldn't change my mind a bit. What does that prove?"
Nonsense.
I assume you're just talking about them plotting it out on an azimuth equidistant projection and comparing it to a globe, so it's a false dichotomy fallacy.
Yeah, more than likely, because they're saying, well, if it takes that long, it's got to be this. And if it takes this short, it can't be that. It's like, what the heck?
Correct.
Based
You're correct.
on the azimuth equidistant projection, though, yeah?
Is that right, Neil?
Yes.
Oh, right. We don't live on a model. Certainly don't live on a globe projection.
Well, if we did live on a model, we'd all have model behavior.
I think one of the biggest problems with flat Earth is some flat earthers arguing this topic believe they live on a flat Earth instead of knowing why.
Yeah, I agree. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below the video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Father of a Stolen Child, Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Good to have you all. Any evidence of a physical, geometric sphere edge, that's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
It's not physical. And it changes with the weather.
They're not blocking boats and buildings then?
Well, one day it is, the next day it's not at the same area. So it can't be physical. So it's got to be optical.
Any more for any more? Pretty critical.
Well, doesn't the globe need it to be physical?
It does indeed. It needs to be blocking boats and buildings with its physical geometry, and if it's non-physical, non-geometric, it's neither, therefore not Earth curve. The horizon's not a physical sphere edge. Hey, Owen.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can I hear someone in Discord say a quick hello, just to make sure it's all working okay?
There's always sphere edges
Hello.
in the
Hey,
math.
George.
Well, if it's the horizon they're looking at and they're calling that Earth curve and it changes on a daily, if not hourly basis, then that would mean the Earth's shape is changing, and that can't be happening.
Well, if you consider that the horizon is only a sphere edge in the math, then also the statement that spheres don't have edges would be geometrically correct. It's just that if it would really be a sphere, then it would have an edge that you could look past. But since it's not really a sphere, it's only a sphere in the geometry, then the Earth does not have a sphere edge. It's
Correct.
a little convoluted like that.
Yeah, correct. When we point out that we don't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, they say spheres don't have edges. Well, yeah, they do in your geometry. It's blocking boats and buildings. That's your sphere edge. The edge of the point that is claimed to obscure the boats and buildings, that's your edge, your Earth curve. So yeah, we used to have an Earth curve edge, but now, quote Tim Osman, nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve. Other than Earth curve geometry and a sphere Earth belief and the premise that it's based on. Other than that, nobody's claiming it.
I think they're hurt that you're calling it an edge when we all know it's not an edge, but it's supposed to be Earth curve, and they can't produce Earth curve.
If they don't want to be edgy, then it's up to them, you know.
I guess you have them cornered there, Armin.
Well, they're looking to see how closely matched a geometric horizon in orthographic view, where the side of your own head is in the shot, the target hasn't changed in feet and inches value because it's only ascribed whole numbers that exclude perspective, then they'd like to say that X, as opposed to a line across from left to right in a picture, that X marked horizon is very close to what you see in a picture. Now, in reality, an orthographic representation side-on side profile with you in the picture looking at a mark that says X horizon, that looks nothing like a horizon, and you haven't got that view of the horizon or ever will have that view of the horizon to claim that it looks like something you see in reality. Also, further to that, they tell us that that horizon, the geometric horizon marked with an X labeled horizon side profile Muppet vision, does not exist. That's what they tell us.
That's a problem. Can't do a calculation for Earth curve if you can't measure it.
Right. Shout out to Ben White, who says this will take the edge off things. Very good.
So they say, like we do, that there's a horizon, but then they say we have never measured it or seen the geometric horizon. So what horizon are they looking at if it's not the same one we're looking at?
Well, they're looking at the horizon and then reifying a geometric physical sphere edge horizon that only exists in the maths into that position or very close to it. So in other words, they're taking this edge. See this guy in this depiction from National Geographic? He's looking at what they would claim, who's off mute, 10th, is an edge. This is what's supposed to be blocking your view of the boat, the edge of the sphere at the horizon. But like the orthographic maths, this representation is saying this is how you see the world, with an edge getting in the way of the boat. But no, because you're actually seeing the side of your own head if this is supposed to represent how we see things. You never see the side of your own head. And the only reason they represent it this way is so that they can keep the boat the same size as it gets further away from the viewer. So as the boat gets over the edge, you see less and less and less of the boat in angular size, but they would claim it as the Earth curve edge obstruction blocking the bottom of it, as opposed to an angular limitation due to the perspective. So they put it in orthographic view, and that's where their horizon would be marked, although this is a cartoon. Orthographic view is orthographic view, side on, looking at the side of your own head and the target. So they'd say the horizon's here, marked with an X, labelled horizon. It's like, that's not what a horizon looks like. A horizon isn't represented as a point halfway along the picture with the target on the right and you on the left. You never see the side of your own head. Hey, Adam. Hey, Adam. Oh, maybe not.
Well, then what they've done is they've carelessly given the Earth a radius value of 3959. And now the geometry holds them to where that Earth curve must be and no further than at different observer heights. So at the 1 foot observer height, it can be no further than 1.22 or 1.23 miles. So they're stuck.
Moving on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, because we don't live on a ball.
Any updates from our Discord correspondents on axial rotation?
Black Swan. I think they're afraid of this more now than ever before because it will have to be shown through Earth-based Coriolis, and there's no way.
Can you link Coriolis to the Black Swan? But you've got to have
Axial rotation.
Yeah, if you haven't got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon and you're claiming, I suppose you can because they've done it recently. In fact, it was only in the last week, right? When they try and take an R value reading by way of the sunset. Well, that would imply that the Earth is turning and the sun's moving behind the sphere edge. Therefore, that claim used to derive R in that instance is a Coriolis-based claim. So you can say Black Swan. I was just thinking somebody said Black Swan in answer to any evidence of axial rotation. Can you link it? Yeah, you can. Because they're going to take the celestial objects, their movements, and try and derive R from the physical horizon that they haven't got anymore. Interesting. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, Black Swan, not.
Yeah, that's true. But definitely true for the sun and its distance. That's definitely based on R. Definitely going to need to get R to derive the distance to it. Is there anything that Black Swan can't do? Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Cartoons only.
One more time, whoever that was. George?
Now we only have cartoons.
Cartoons, eh? Bummer. Any evidence of R? Yeah, Earth radius itself?
Nope. They can't measure it.
Nope.
Terrestrial refraction's in the way. They can only calculate it based on the presupposition that it is spherical.
Okay. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
What is it?
I've sent Anthony the link. Hopefully, Black Swan with gravity. Oh, that's going to take some thinking.
Oh well, no curvature, no globe, and no forces to keep the waters in, or to keep the gas pressure for that matter. So, yeah, Black Swan debunked it.
Can you do me a favour,
Oh, I
George? Can you drop and rejoin? For some reason, your volume is all screwy.
can get rid of gravity with the Black Swan.
Oh, epic! Go ahead.
But if you don't have a center of mass, you don't have gravity.
I.e., when they're referring to the centre of the mass of the Earth in terms of the downward vector that it would create because mass attracts to the mass of the Earth. Is that what you're saying?
Right? There's no radial value for them to say center of mass.
Ah, yes, of course. It's going to be going to the
So-
centre of the Earth, then it needs a centre, and it needs an hour to get that. Interesting. Black Swan can destroy gravity as well. That's good. Hopefully we'll get Sleeping Warrior to join, because he's been, interestingly enough, I've said this, I've almost lost for words how pleased as punch I am about this scenario that's occurring currently. So back in the day, I don't know, 5 years ago, whatever, we'd be out looking at things, taking pictures of things, doing little small scale tests and showing perspective, things like that. And what would happen is a glober would come to us and say, you haven't done this correctly, you need to go away and do it again. And then you'd go and do it and then placate them that way. And then they'd say, you haven't done this right, go ahead and do it again. Give you an example. So John Savage, I think it was it John Savage? Could be John Savage, could be another John, did the gyroscope. And every time he did it, the criticism would come in and say, you haven't done it like this, you haven't done it like that, you need to do it again. And he kept on doing it over and over and over and over again and showing no drift on a mechanical gyro. So does someone want to add something?
Oh, Nathan, talking about Black Swan, by the way.
I wasn't finished, Darwin, but clearly off mute, rumpusing me and ignoring everything I'm saying. Thank you. Can you wait till after I'm
Sorry.
finished? Thanks.
I can say something, Nathan.
I just want to get to the end of my point, if that's okay with both of you.
All right.
So back in 2017, we were put to task to do things differently when we presented anything. Now the tables have turned. So Blue Marble Science has put together a Cavendish experiment. And at the same time, Anthony's mirrored his actions and done it, and is all over him like flies on the proverbial, saying he hasn't done this right, he hasn't done that right, presenting graphs based on the data that he's taken, showing his own graphs, showing the graphs that Anthony's taken of his apparatus, all of this sort of stuff, so he can say, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, Cavendish said this should be done, you've touched it, you've done this, you've walked in, you've walked out. He's just whipping him around. It's just absolutely brilliant, right? So the shoe's on the other foot for the Globers in 2020 and beyond. They're having to placate us when we say, nah, you're not doing that right. Now, the reason this is the main point I'm talking about this is because obviously this is debunked with gas. Gas has mass. It's not attracting. In fact, if you want to call it doing anything, it's repelling. So they're screwed at the end of this nonsense. But in the meantime, Anthony, the flat earther's whipping them around and getting them on their toes and getting them to change what they're doing and getting them annoyed, which is absolutely brilliant. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say. Arwin, go ahead then, Paul. Obviously, rumpuses me in the middle of my point, then buggers off when it's actually time for him to talk.
How things have changed. How things have changed.
Some things never change, Neil. Arwin, you wanted to interrupt me. Now he's disappeared. Paul, go ahead.
I think the only thing the Globers have on the so-called gyroscopes now is the ones we're using aren't sensitive enough to catch it. That's all the only argument they have now. That's all I was going to say.
Sorry, the gyros aren't sensitive enough for what?
Yes.
Breaking up, maybe. Sensitive enough for what? It's going to be one of those days. Paul's put himself on server mute. That's the end of that conversation.
Wow, sounds like Neil's car.
Indeed.
What do you mean? To catch the drift,
No, it's
to detect the drift. They're not sensitive enough.
What drift?
The gyroscope, right? It doesn't have. Didn't
What
it
drift?
detect Earth spin, rather?
Yeah, what drift? We don't experience drift. Nothing's drifting away.
The gyroscope that Bob Nodell used to prove Earth's rotation. What are you talking about?
well, if Earth's
He
rotating,
just got a Nobel Prize for it.
a Nobel Prize, you say?
Yes.
All right. Well, if it's Earth's rotation that he found, then Earth must be rotating on their helicopters, airplanes, and everything else, right? But since that's not happening, that can't be it. It's something else. It's something within the apparatus, obviously.
Okay, it's powered flight, buddy.
No, no.
How?
No. Coriolis is observed from the ground. It's you observing things seem to drift, like helicopters and drones, or anything that's not on a claim to be turning reference frame. So it's you observing things drifting. Right now, that's a phenomena that does not occur. So to say, well, the gyro drifts or doesn't drift, who cares? First observe the phenomena of something drifting in nature, then go forth to explain why that happens. Now, if things aren't drifting in nature, there's nothing to study.
Yeah, well said. Very succinct, to the point. And what does powered flight have to do anyway? The observer is not on the plane. The observer is here on Earth.
Precisely. Coriolis is observed from the ground or on start one more time. Observed from the ground, providing the ground is a non-inertial spinning reference frame. So a roundabout would be you on the ground, on the roundabout, spinning around and looking at a plane in the air, looking like the plane is turning around as you turn around on the roundabout. Now, obviously, the plane isn't turning around. It just looks like it is because you're on a roundabout. Now, that's the claim that Globe Earth has. Earth is a turning roundabout, and as you look at things not on that roundabout, they drift. That's the claim from the Globe Earth. But that doesn't happen. We're not observing things drift, and we'd have to be observing them drift for there to be this effect. So when they say powered flight, no, Coriolis is observed as you turn beneath things. Nothing to do with the plane. It's not actually doing anything in terms of what you observe, because what you observe is a not actual deflection.
Yeah, and their high priest, Neil deGrasse Tyson, already said a football went through field goals because the Earth turned underneath it. And they don't like that because obviously that didn't happen. But when he said that, that destroys their powered flight crap.
Their powered flight is crap to begin with because it's an observation from the ground of things seeming to drift. So Tyson's saying the ball seems to drift because Earth turns beneath it. That's what he's claiming. It's like, well, okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the blimp filming the game drifts because Earth's turning beneath it. It's in the air a lot longer than a football. Oh no, it doesn't happen. So he claims nonsense. So there's nothing to study.
Yeah, I think that's the main point. It's not a natural occurring phenomena, and we don't see it ever. It's only in the math, and it's been reified.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen, we don't need to argue about it. So show me drift in nature first. And that's the way I've been most successful in terms of the argument as it progressed with Coriolis. Most recently, forget about what you say occurs in the gyro, occurs in the pendulum. I might use that as a hostile witness to hold you to your claim if you start denying it. But ultimately, what's drifting in nature? And if they say, well, I don't need it to be, well, that's what Coriolis is. Things drifting at 15 degrees an hour is the claim. So what's drifting at 15 degrees an hour? Not a man-made device, because I don't care. I want to see it in nature. Show me things drift in nature. If they don't, they don't. It's just that simple. If things don't drift in nature, then their claim that things do is debunked. It's just that simple. And instead of it being that simple, it's into arguments about Coriolis deviation, how it works, what it is, things that will defy the drift we're supposed to have in the form of planes because they've got engines when that's not an observation from the ground as we turn beneath things. So where do we see things drift? If someone's going to claim the Earth's turning, okay, what's drifting?
Well, they say the movement of the luminaries, but then if the luminaries are moving and Earth is still, that works, but they're trying to use the luminaries that are moving and reverse it and say the Earth is turning to make it appear that the luminaries. Oh, well, in that case, we should see drift, but we don't.
Exactly. That claim that the movement of the luminaries is caused by Earth turning beneath them is a claim of Coriolis, but it would manifest itself in other things and does not. Now, it's claimed that it manifests in other things like footballs, but it does not.
Bye-bye globe. Yeah, they don't have an argument. Never did.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Still waiting.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate.
And no.
According to Neil deGrasse Tyson, our cell phone, they have the space physics and stuff like that.
Yeah. and my mattress has got memory foam on it, therefore NASA exists. And
No, listen, Nathan. This is Neil deGrasse. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now you're talking about here, okay?
yeah, my wife had me over a barrel on that yesterday, so we need a new mattress, and she's ordering this mattress, and I'm like, I just want the same one as we've got before. It's lasted a long time and it's very comfortable. It's a sprung mattress with a layer of memory foam on it. I want that. And then when she found the same brand, same mattress, she's like, oh, it's memory foam developed by NASA. That's the only reason you want it, isn't it? Because it's developed by NASA. Having a little poke.
It turns out that there's this magical speed.
Hell yeah.
Listen, you all want to sugarcoat it and baby this guy. I've been saying we got to get him in the arena for the longest time.
He won't come in this arena. Are you kidding?
I got an idea.
Yeah, about as likely to devote any of his attention to us as the Pope is to devoting his attention to debating Christianity.
He told Joe Rogan that he's not ever going to debate a flat earther. I wonder why.
Do you want to present to me, Adam? I had you up for a second, but now it's just your icon.
It's me, Arwin, talking about the Black Swan.
Oh, sorry.
It's just a funny video that I came across. I'm gonna play it without sound because it's just commentary. I saw this and immediately thought, like, this is what happens every time ballers come over, dive in, and say they've disproven the Black Swan.
Don't play a video. It's not yours.
It's not his either. It
Don't
is
care.
without sound. This is just some random video.
Don't care, Arwen. It's not yours. Ugh. Can't just play someone else's video, Arwen. I'm sorry.
Okay, well then, suit yourself.
Well, it's not mine. It's not suiting myself. It's suiting my channel's best interest.
It's a random uploaded video that probably thousands of people have it and
I don't
use
care.
it. This guy that's using that video, it's not his either.
Don't care.
He's
Not
still
mine.
advertising for it, so
Don't care. Not mine. Not going to be using it. Sorry. I've had enough strikes from people to know better that, you know, it's not worth the gag. Anyway, let's discuss it not on a live show at some other better time, more appropriate. Did we do all the housekeeping questions?
okay, well in that case, get your own Black Swan.
Did we do
Hold
gas
on.
pressure?
Hold on, 10th. Was there a point along with it, moreover, Arwin? That's the most important thing.
Go
he
and watch
went.
it.
Was there a point to go with it? You can show it with stills, but just not play it.
There's no sound.
Ah,
It's a guy getting attacked by a black swan.
When did you last read?
That's
Arwin,
it.
you're obviously going to do this on,
Right? If
on
you
the
can't
live show.
show that, fine. Right? You show less shit than I do on my show. By now. This is
Arwin.
ridiculous.
Arwin, when did you last read the terms of service?
Sorry?
When did you last read the terms of service for YouTube?
Probably 4 years ago.
I read them last week. I keep
All right.
well and truly abreast of the rules here, right? You don't. But you're going to tell me because it's got no sound, you'll be fine. Thanks a bunch. No, I won't. Just, if you want to make your point with it.
Guess what? My shows, every single one of my shows, has videos in it, in the intro, that I ripped randomly from YouTube on the internet, right? Just like this guy made the video, ripped random videos off the internet. Nobody's gonna strike that because it's not some personal show that is copyrighted. It's just people uploading random shit they film on the internet.
Okay, I'll try once
It's not
more.
gonna be struck.
Yeah, you keep making the same argument.
Arwin.
Arwin, I'll
Because
try
of
once more.
freedom.
I'll try once more. You can show it.
Okay, William Wallace.
Chocolate, hold on. You can show it, just don't play it. You can show it by scrubbing through the video and making your point, but just don't play it.
Well, that was 10 minutes of nothing.
know.
I
didn't want to do
gas
that at
pressure
all.
without a container. Did you do that one?
Right, did you want to make your point, Arwin? Just don't play it, scrub it.
There's barely any visuals to flick through.
It's a video.
Yeah, it's 1 minute video. It's barely good resolution anyway. So whatever, man. it was just something funny that I found. Wanted to play it. If that's too much, okay, I'm not gonna bring up any more videos then. Okay.
You can scrub through it and show the bit you want. Oh God, this is going to be a never-ending argument with you just not pressing play and scrubbing to the bit that you want to make the point with. You can play a couple of seconds.
You know, when a creature attacks somebody, you don't see that by showing still shots. You
No, but you
show
can...
the action actually taking place. Otherwise, it's no point to it.
Yes,
You're
I
not gonna see
appreciate that.
anything.
Owen, you're just not listening. You can play a couple of seconds that make your point, maybe even 5 seconds that make your point, but playing an entire minute-long video that isn't yours isn't fair comment. But 5 seconds, 10 seconds, yeah, that's fine. It's never going to end. You're not going to press play. You're not going to make your point. We're just going to sit with this still on all day.
Hey, no, I'm not
on a
going to make
live
my
show.
point. That's right. If you want to do it like that, the video is a masterpiece. You do that. I'm not going to do that.
I don't
It's your
care.
claim. It's your claim, Nathan.
Yeah, my claim, my video. I should play it. I should make the joke. God.
What I miss?
Owen doesn't want to play ball because I won't just let him play out a minute of video that's not mine.
You just missed a pecking order. Don't worry about it.
Pecking order, it's not. Metaphorically or otherwise.
Arwen's in rare form today.
It's all right. Can we move off of this, please?
Yeah.
Hey, Chocolate.
Wow, you sound just like Muttley. Muttley?
Gotcha.
Muttley?
All right, is there anyone in Discord that can save us from this?
Hey, what about this? Can you guess this?
Yeah, anybody got glow proof or something?
Heavens to Murgatroyd, there's no glove proof.
Yeah, this is getting a bit boring without any globe proof on a debating show about flat Earth. You'd think someone would come along with something. It's literally nothing, though.
Well, the only part about it is round and round we go, but it's not glow proof.
But do you not remember back in the day, maybe after, I don't know, 6 months, a year of finding this out, somewhere at some point you have in the back of your mind, maybe someone will come up with something that does actually prove the notion correct. Somebody might just come up with something and go, hello, this was all just a big blag, controlled op, what do they call it, psyop, and here it is, stone cold proof that the Earth's a sphere. Now, did any of you have that moment when you think, maybe, just maybe, someone will come up with some globe proof?
That's why I ended up here. Because after I was already like, all right, definitely not a damn globe, but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I could find somebody to help me see where I didn't carry the one or something. I don't know. So I need to hear an argument. I need to hear this go back and forth. And then I started looking for debates on it. That's how the hell I ended up here.
But it is weird how they always come in, if they come in at all, obviously without globe proof, and think they need to tell us how we haven't carried the one or something, and end up humiliating themselves.
Well, I remember that they would be coming in, ad homing, interrupting, lively debates, rumpusing, fallacies, all that happening all the time. And now it's like we've called the frontline lookouts and say, hey, don't worry, come on in, come to the base camp. No one's coming after us. So we don't have any snipers anywhere looking out for these people coming. We have nothing anymore because they're just not coming anymore. We're not under attack anymore. The camp is safe because the globe died.
Yeah.
No, I know how to get Neil deGrasse Tyson in here. He seems to, like, when a star starts to talk about flat Earth, he appears, right, Chocolate? You always said he just seems to appear and make everything nice. So we make Chocolate saying a star because he's a rapper, and then Neil deGrasse will have to come and see him to set it straight.
No, you've got a
and then
point.
we got him.
No, you've got a point. You've got a point, right? Well, I think you're kind of saying two things there, Neil. You're saying, one, well, our target is now, the bar's been raised, right? We've cleared out the trenches, haven't we?
Correct.
So
We're at
Well-
the general's door.
Metaphorically, you're right. But what happens next? Well, then you take over the country that you've invaded. That's
It's like the
next step.
movie The Dirty Dozen. They go and infiltrate the camp.
Right, but we've wiped out the entire battleground. So,
Yeah.
what's next? You move forward, right? Now, that's not to say
Well,
that there aren't other fronts where battles are still taking place. That's not to say that there aren't other places where they haven't got the weaponry that we've got to have such widespread success to the point where there's no soldiers left to kill.
The Walking Dead. This is part of the Walking Dead. They're the new zombie type soldiers that don't die. They just come at you. But
Well-
the Night of the Living Dead Walking Dead, the slow moving ones that you could just pop them in the head and they go down.
Yeah, but that's the But that's the metaphorical equivalent of the spawning in a video game, right? So let's say there's two teams in this regard in this particular server by comparison, because we're not going to say it's like real war, but let's say it's a video game. And that's all these trolls are, right? Nameless, faceless trolls in a video game. That's all this is to them. Now, don't get me wrong, they get killed, they get teabagged, and then they just respawn and come back. But that isn't to say that in this particular server, one team keeps winning. Now, because of that, in this server, they don't want to come in the server because they'll never win. That's the way it literally is working, metaphorically and literally.
Yeah, but Rumpus comes on and says 99.99% of the time he's never been wrong. He doesn't even
If I
know
may,
he's
can I-
dead.
Go on, Don, or whoever that was.
Okay, so I got say there's two planes flying at the same speed, right? Right? If one is at 15,000 feet and one is at 30,000 feet, and if they're flying around a sphere, which one will get to the destination first?
So you're demanding we beg the question that we're on a sphere to make this comparison to see which one we get first. Well, the higher one's got a greater circumference to traverse because of its increased radial value at a greater altitude on a presupposed spherical Earth. So by your comparison on a presupposed spherical Earth, the one at a lower altitude is going to have a shorter distance to travel.
Oh, wow, a flat earther can be honest with me. That wasn't hard, was it?
Sorry, what part of presupposed spherical Earth didn't you hear?
I heard you clear, but the Globers wouldn't answer me.
Check it out. Synthetic News Network, who did an interview with me. Shout out to you, my friend. He's just joined as a member. Thank you very much indeed.
What's the point of that question, though, even as a flat earther to a baller?
To beg the question. The only reason for that question isn't to actually get a reasonable answer to the justifiable increased distance that a higher altitude flight takes. The only purpose in a question like that is to get you to beg the question. That's it. If you're on a presupposed spherical Earth, why does blah 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 blah? The rest doesn't matter.
Unless you form a modus tollens.
Well, when they insist on begging the question and we point out that they're begging the question, then say it's okay to beg the question because we're begging the question, then you've got to beg the question with them and show them how begging the question doesn't work in any way, shape or form by ruining it from within the begging the question fallacy. Shout out to Silent Zero, who's also just become a penguin. Thank you very much. Getting lots of members today. Good people too. People who've got things that are good to say in the chat. So when it's members only, there'll be good conversation. As Synthetic News Network and Silent Zero have both got good things to say. So look forward to seeing what you've got to say in the sidelines, so to speak.
Well, that's my point, Nathan. The modus tollens worked wonderfully with the black swan and the radius value. So why can't we do a modus tollens for everything?
You can.
Yeah. So instead of begging the question, you offer it in the way the modus tollens says, oh, so you're saying this. Well, if it's this, then it P, then Q, blah, 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 just like the way modus tollens does it.
Yeah, it's just a bit weak. If the Earth sphere radius 3959 then flights at a higher altitude of an increased radius value and would take a longer distance. Flights do not take an increased distance over a greater presupposed radius value at a higher altitude. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere. It's just a bit weak. You can turn it into modus
Correct.
tollens. the reason the black swan is so powerful is because the Q statement takes the supposition, and the Q statement is directly translatable to their claim. That's why it's so powerful. So the Earth's sphere radius 3959. Yeah, you can start any modus tollens and then take their example like I just did with increased radius values and altitude. But when you say the distance to Earth curve is, I might start asking QE to rephrase it. So it's the distance to the geometric horizon in modus tollens, right? But that is Earth curve. So if every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, yeah? Why have it to the geometric horizon? Their horizon is Earth curve.
Yeah, and also the strong point of modus tollens is geometry, and they're bound to it, and they're going to come off, for lack of a better example, they're going to come off saying 2 and 2 is 64 instead of 4. That's how they look when they fight it.
Yeah, exactly. They're saying Earth curve or the Earth's a sphere because geometry. That's what their claim is. So if Earth curve because of geometry, why do we not now have to assert if Earth a sphere, then geometric horizon? Why not if Earth's a sphere, then Earth curve? No Earth curve, therefore Earth not a sphere. I think modus tollens is going to get polish by me.
Yeah, because they're like the word synonymous. Earth curve is the horizon for them.
Yeah. Why barter about whether or not spheres have edges when they're claiming it blocks boats and buildings, when we're talking in these terms with words like it? It's blocking boats and buildings? The geometry is blocking boats and buildings, the sphere edge?
It all starts at the horizon.
Yeah. What starts at the horizon? Earth curve starts at the horizon.
Yes.
Right. The horizon's not Earth curve. We can make the succinct nature of this as succinct as we wish. The horizon is not Earth curve. That's the black swan modus tollens argument summed up in a sentence. So let's start calling it like it is. If the Earth's a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the black swan shows that Earth curve is beyond the geometric limitations of sphere-Earth geometry. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere. That's my spit and polish contribution to the black swan argument.
No, I like it because
Yes,
when
you
you
should
look
do
up
it like that all the time.
when you look up sphere in geometry and they show you pictures of it, it says. In fact, let me find one. I'll be right back. This is really good.
We all liking this? The black
Yeah,
swan.
I think you should do the modus tollens like that all the time instead of that. Say Earth curves instead of horizon. Every distance to Earth curves, not horizon.
Yeah. Say it like it is, right? It's been over a year. We know what we're talking about when we refer to the black swan. We're talking about Earth curve geometry. That's the context, though, not the argument. The argument's Earth curve. So let's take the context out of the statement and put the argument back in. So the argument's Earth's a sphere with Earth curve. And what's Earth curve? Contextually, it's Earth curve geometry. But we don't need to contextualise that. Why go out of our way? If the Earth's a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the black swan shows beyond all certitude that the distance to Earth curve is beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere Earth. Therefore, the Earth's not a sphere.
Nathan, go to Master B, if you would.
Yeah, it's on.
All right, so as you can see here, you got a sphere compared to a cube. The cube has 12 edges, 8 corners, 6 square faces. The sphere has 1 curved face, no edges, no corners. Oops. Sextant can't work on the sphere.
here's something I was just thinking of. And whenever you're ready, 10th man, I'll stop.
Go ahead.
You know, there's just been argument about plumb bobs, right? And it's supposed to show your plumb, which is determining level. But we do have a thing in our inner ear that just kind of does that same thing, right? That keeps you so you can look straight and feel level, so you have your balance and all that fun stuff. Now, on a globe, it should start dropping away from you immediately on your feet, no matter where you're at on it. Now, that being said, then the horizon should technically never rise to eye level, even if you're observing it. But we always seem to see the horizon rising to eye level. Why is that? And we've got a built-in plumb bob, so we kind of know we have an idea what level is when we're looking out across something.
Right. Well, that's because that's the way their geometry's figured in terms of how they lay it out to give themselves a sphere edge. So when we say
I know.
sphere edge, this is you can't see it, Paul. I've just brought up the diagram of Al-Biruni's measurement to the sphere edge horizon. So we're talking about a geometric edge in terms of the obstruction caused by the tangent point with a straight line drawn to it. That is the edge of your visibility. In other words, beyond that edge of the sphere, you cannot see what's beyond it. Now that requires you to be angled down from the mountain towards the dip angle that they're claiming. Now you're saying the horizon rises with eye level. Well, yeah, it's a rubber ruler. It might be up higher on one day than lower on the other, but they can still use that optical effect to their advantage and claim there's a dip angle to a physical sphere edge that's blocking your view of things in the distance, i.e. boats and buildings. That's the edge we're talking about when talking in their geometric terms. When you're seeing the side of your own head, Al-Biruni would be at A, and you're looking at his position. You're not looking out through his eyes at the horizon. Earth curve in this claim. You're looking at a side-on profile view that's called orthographic. We fondly call it Muppet vision because you're seeing the side of your own head.
Well, you got the one up. I can't see obviously because I'm in Discord, but where you kind of the observers to the left and the horizon is kind of in the middle and their objects is to the right. Is that the one that you're talking about?
It might as well be. It's actually Al-Biruni, so it's Al-Biruni up a mountain on the right, Muppet vision to the horizon in the middle, and then what would be the hidden in their geometric calculators to the left. But yes, it is the same thing. It's an orthographic representation. Well, how they claim what we have as Earth curve at sea.
I know, but no matter what you do, though, the horizon starts to drop away immediately, correct, from the observer? It's not like it's a gradual drop. It's just immediate movement downward.
Not the horizon. Did you just misspeak? The ground, according to this diagram, at its position A up the mountain, regardless if it was B on the ground, the line you're describing on a sphere Earth falls away from you immediately towards C, the tangent point sphere edge horizon that they claim in this geometry. But what you're saying is the ground immediately falls away.
Right. I mean, but I'm saying as an observer, though, it should start dropping away immediately from even my own observation, even with any kind of measurement. That was my point. If it's a sphere, there should be an immediate drop away, even in my observation. If not, when I'm looking at the horizon, I'm technically looking slightly downward. They would have to say, no matter where I'm at on the globe, no matter when I observe it, I have to be looking slightly downward, always.
And they do. That's exactly what they do claim that. They do claim that.
Well, my own pendulum, or not pendulum, but my plumb bob in my own head indicates that I'm not.
No, and if you aren't, they can depict it slightly differently in Muppet vision. So I got this confused with the chord last time I was in the middle of a debate, but they can draw the sagittal with you essentially tilting back. So if I was to turn this picture on screen through, 45, 50 degrees, I'd end up with the line between A and C about flat. And then the depiction would effectively have you tipping backwards to look straight and level. Yeah, that's what they do, though. They can draw it out of the light because you're not actually experiencing this view. You're looking at the side of your own head. So looking at the side of your own head with it claimed to be you looking out straight and level but tipping back on your heels, or as you're originally described, you looking out straight and level, but the ground falling away from you immediately. It just depends on how they depict it in the geometry. Not hearing much from Adam. This is
Sorry.
normally where he pipes up, but maybe he's busy.
No, I get what you guys are saying. It's just I was just trying to think it through using your own plumb bob in your head, because technically, like if you just move your head slightly downward, you're aware of that movement. That even if it's just very slight, you're aware of that. If you close your eyes and move your head slightly downward, even though you're doing it, you can still feel that there's an orientation difference.
Yeah, that's
Even in your
correct.
own
But
head.
what you're describing when you bring the plumb bob in is a zenith position when reference to a datum. So if you're on a presupposed spherical Earth and you drop a plumb bob at any position, it's going to go straight down. But what they'll say is, well, in reference to your datum, if you're here in the UK, for example, well, you're pointing out that plumb bob based on the zenith going to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. If you draw Earth with the North Pole on the top, then we're approximately jutting out at 40 degrees or something like that. I don't know where we are on the line. I should know, really. But anyway, the point is that we're not having that plumb bob then go straight down, because that zenith to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth is effectively what your plumb bob would be when you drop it from your position in reality. But that would be to suggest that when referencing Earth with north and south poles, you've got a plumb bob that points at 40 degrees towards the centre, and it doesn't. Well, they say, well, no, it's because you're always on the top. Come on, Paul.
Right, I get you. Yeah, I get you. I'm actually kind of distracted. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. So
That's
I'll leave
okay.
it there. But I think you're right. I got you.
I got some more slides in Master B, Nathan. Just
Okay, ready when you are.
so you got the one that says a sphere with the yellow background.
Yep.
Okay, has one face, no edges, no vertices. The next one, the sphere has 0 vertices and 0 edges and 0 faces. Like a square would be a face, like but this would have a surface, but not a face. The next one, 3D shapes, cube, all the way down to triangular. Look at the one that's got 0, 0, 0. It's the sphere. 0 faces, 0 edges, 0 vertices. This is why it's important to understand how the sextant works. You can't have a sextant work without a corner or vertex. And since the horizon is your baseline, and your luminary that you sight the sextant with creates your second line, they meet at where you are. That creates the corner. But you can't have that happen if the surface of the Earth is curving. So the horizon has to be optical and you live on a plane, because you can't sight something 3, 4, 5,000 miles away, even further, if it's curving away from you, and get the right angle.
So, where do they get an edge from? Well, they get it by a presupposed spherical Earth, in this case sphere, with no edges, no faces, no vertices. Then you draw a line called a zenith to the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth at a given fixed value, r. Then you can draw out a tangent plane, still having the assumption of a sphere beneath your feet, giving you a predetermined line to work with, r. And from that, you can justify its existence by saying it matches up with a dip angle horizon, and that dip angle horizon will give you the tangent plane and the angle you require to then actually use the sextant on a sphere with no edges, faces, or vertices.
What they do is, with a circle, a sphere, they do it with a central angle. So that would be your radius. So let's use the one they gave us for the Earth, 3959. So then if you're doing the measurement from the center, you can have your zenith and your sighting of your star have 2 separate straight lines meeting to the center. It only works from the center because it's geometry, and a diameter would be all the way through. A radius is from the center to one of the sides of the curved surface. Not sides, but wherever it meets the top of the ball. So it can't work from the surface of the Earth, but the sextant is being used from the surface of the Earth, and the surface of the Earth in their model is curved. So it's a trick here, because they're saying, well, we're actually measuring from the center. But you're not measuring from the center. You're measuring from a sailboat 9 feet above the water. And then they have to have light coming in parallel in order for it to work anyway. And light doesn't come in parallel, as Rumpus told us. It comes in at funny angles, just like we see. It's all divergent rays. So they got so many problems with this when you break it down. So all they're using is a central angle from a radius of a two-dimensional drawing called a circle.
Correct. So
Because there's no way.
Exactly. To do any of these measurements, you need angles. And you haven't got any if you haven't got any flat surfaces or edges. So where do you engineer an edge on a presupposed spherical Earth? You need an edge to do the measurements. Well, you can turn the horizon into it if you derive it from r. And what you need to get it is a fixed value of r to begin with. So in other words, they can't derive any geometry from a sphere that actually works in practical application unless they already have the sphere and they need r in the first instance. And they can't get it if none of what they actually claim to be measuring is measurable or visible or exists. And it doesn't. It wouldn't exist anyway if we had a sphere beneath our feet, because the measurements you could take, you could physically do. In reality, you can't. That's why we're looking at what we're looking at in terms of when we describe Earth as a sphere. We're looking at a non-existent geographic representation in side view. So you can hijack things and create angles where you don't have any. In other words, if this C point was England, you'd say, well, when I drop a plumb line, it's not going to go straight down from top to bottom. It's actually going to point at an angle to the r value that I'm going to derive to get my tangent plane. Because I'm going to be working with a flat surface and I need angles. So therefore I'm going to need the world to be exactly as it is. But if I'm standing on a presupposed spherical Earth, and I'm going to justify having these angles, which I could just get from the flat plane we're standing on, then I need an r value. Doesn't matter that I can't derive it if everything that's moving around like the horizon is the point that I'm going to use to get it. But I'll claim it and match it up on a certain day when the geometry does match the physical optical representation of a rubber ruler horizon that isn't physical. But I'll say it is, and it'll give me an angle, and from there I can make tangent planes and assumptions of derivations of r no matter where I am on a sphere, without any angles, surfaces, or edges.
I got 2 slides for you. Let me know when you got it.
Yeah, what is an
Can you
angle?
hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is an angle? An angle is formed when 2 rays originate from the same end point. The 2 rays formed an angle are called arms or sides of the angle, and the end point is called the vertex of the angle. Next slide. An angle is denoted by the symbol. You see the symbol there. Here, the rays OP and OQ from an angle denoted by POQ or QOP. That has to happen on the surface of the Earth for the sextant to work, and you need a straight line. However, on a 2-dimensional surface of a circle, you can do this from the radius because they meet at the radius. But that's not where you measure.
Perfect. I mean, this is literally us just sat here sharpening tools, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've done it for a while. You've said there, and even Osmond came on. You know, we've never claimed the horizon to be Earth curved while he shows pictures of it and claiming his own pictures.
Yeah. But it's nice to have a more refined tool.
You still don't
I
know
mean,
what
what else
looming
can
is, Nathan?
Say again, Neil?
I see you still don't know what looming is. That's what Rumpus is.
Looming is not based on an R refraction that can't be derived if the horizon moves. So their version of what they call looming is part of a bait and switch ploy. So they're going to say words like looming that are describing atmospheric effects, but they're going to then, at some stage, do the old bait and switch aroo and swap it out for an R-based 7/6R or whatever derivative in value they're going to apply to not only the targets, but also the horizon, meaning they can't get the R value in the first instance to apply this claim to be looming actually a bait and switch 7/6R or derivative of terrestrial refraction. So when they say looming, they won't be using looming, which is just an optical effect. They'll be using an R-based refraction, terrestrial refraction.
So basically, it's an R-based looming.
Looming is looming. R-based refraction is terrestrial refraction. They just bait and switch you with it because they've both got the word refraction in there.
Right, so they're back to begging the question that we live on a sphere, and this is how it would be, and they use the 7/6R to explain looming when it's not at all what we're talking about.
Right, but they're using looming to move anything that's not in a position where it would be on a sphere into a position that they can arbitrarily assign with a fixed value of R. And their fixed value of R gives them a Earth curve. And if Earth curve isn't at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and we can't see it, it doesn't exist, then Earth curve doesn't exist. End of argument.
So basically, they're using an optical situation and trying to reify that with their globe.
Yeah. When we were debating the Isle of Man, I remember running my mouse along the horizon and asking Rumpus what it was. And he went very quiet, and at the time I didn't know why. Now I know why. Because in debate, the horizon is Earth curve, and that's very damaging. In open discussion and general public worldview, their argument starts with the horizon. It's right there, right out in plain view. They think the horizon's Earth curve. Well, it isn't.
Well, it's given up in the language when they say things go over the horizon.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. They've got boats falling over a sphere edge. Why is the horizon a sphere edge? Well, because spheres don't have edges and they need to get one to do geometry. So the horizon's it. That's where they acquire an edge to do geometry. And it isn't. It moves with the weather. The horizon isn't a sphere edge. Earth curve doesn't exist. Good conclusion to the live
Well,
show.
once upon a time.
Go on.
Once upon a time, there was like 3 years back, 2 years back, the looming was with respect to the geometric horizon.
Yeah, that's correct.
In my mind.
Yeah, I've got a quote from Rumpus. You know it's looming because of its position with respect to the horizon. End quote. The Rumpus. Because the horizon is Earth curve. And they say, well, you know it's moved higher, i.e. you're just seeing what you can see that day, but they say it's too far because it should be blocked by Earth curve. But no, it's looming. And how do you know? Well, because of its position with respect to the horizon. Well, the horizon, oh, that too is looming. Well, if that's looming, then Earth curve is looming. So you've got looming Earth curve then. No, doesn't work, does it? Becomes paradoxical.
Yep. That's what did me in.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you watching, smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Also, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, link in the info box below the video. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next one.
What a lovely day!
That's right.
Looming. So
Well,
So Ed, do you think that the horizon is not your board edge?
Ed don't think at all.
Oh, he's on the wrong thread.
Thanks, Neil.
You're welcome. It's obvious. You demonstrate that you don't think.
Well, let's ask him. Ed, is the horizon Earth curve?
Why is that so hard to answer?
Neil, be quiet.
All right.
Ed, that one's for you.
Yeah, is the horizon Earth curve? Ed.
Going once. Going twice. He's screwed either way. If he says no,
because it changes.
If he says no,
He just claimed that it's all optical and it's got to do with refraction and blah blah blah. So we were
all optical.
trying to nail him because the
Welcome
globers
to
seem
Flat
to
Earth
now be
Day.
backing off the fact that it's a physical location or that it's a physical sphere edge.
Indeed. So I'll summarise. He's screwed either way. If he says no, the horizon's not Earth curve, welcome to flat Earth. If he says yes, the horizon is Earth curve, then every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the black swan demolishes that. It's beyond the geometric limitations of a horizon called Earth curve. So he's screwed either way.
That's too bad.
So does refraction make both disappear? Does refraction do that?
Refraction's based on R for them, and they can't get R if the horizon's not a physical sphere edge. So again, back to his original answer. If he says yes, the horizon's a sphere edge, then no, it isn't Black Swan. If he says no, welcome to flat Earth.
Like how all their responses are all optical. Refraction, looming. Yeah. Everything except geometric, right? Exactly.
A fleur perspective, eh? Who'd have thunk that the explanation for an argument called the Black Swan would be fleur perspective from them when they don't have it in their geometry? Isn't that amazing? Well, it's perspective, really. Why would your
Funny,
feet in
right?
inches value not change with these buildings that are getting further away? Isn't that amazing? You'd think you'd have that perspective as you're claiming it now.
Yeah, right? Oh, you flat earthers, you're making up perspective. Everything is perspective, huh? 4 years later. Guys, you're forgetting about optics. It's refraction, it's looming. Everything except geometric, huh? Too bad, so sad.
That's the reality of living in an atmosphere, dumbass.
Atmosphere is an oxymoron. Air doesn't take
Atmosphere.
the shape of a sphere, it takes the shape of a container.
No, that's not how you define words.
Immediately fundy censored. Painful, Ed. Hey? Painful. Mute me, baby, mute me. So, I'll try again. Second attempt. Let's count them off. That's 2. Atmosphere is an oxymoron. Because air doesn't take the shape of a sphere. Atmo means air. Sphere means fundamentalist religious presupposition that air's taken the shape of a sphere when it takes the shape of its container. Now, there is no container around a sphere Earth, and this assumption that air takes the shape of a sphere isn't going to get around your begging the question fallacy and assumption that the horizon is indeed Earth curve. You haven't got an atmosphere to bend light at a radius value. You can't get the radius value when air doesn't take the shape of a sphere.
That's not how you define words.
What does atmo mean?
That's not how you define words.
What does atmo mean?
You don't define words by...
So, third attempt to progress the argument as a flat earther, righteous indignation follows. Don't you know how to have a debate? This is a debating platform. I get told it isn't, but yet I ask somebody who's telling me that's not how you define words. So the word under discussion is atmosphere, and I break it down. Atmo, sphere. What does atmo mean? That's not how you define words, you coward. What's atmo mean?
If you split it up, you get different words, though.
Oh, wow.
I've never heard that
This is
before.
pathetic.
I have never heard
Is
that
this really
before.
Yeah, you can keep
your
trying.
avenue of
That's fine
argument?
by me.
This
That's not how it works.
is pathetic. Ed.
Well, here, let me go after it.
I told you
Let
you
me
don't
go
think.
after it because I'm the dictionary guy. Well, if you read the dictionary definition, the envelope of gases around Earth or another planet. Is there not an assumption in that? Like envelope meaning like a layer, and then Earth being sphere. You got air around a sphere. So yeah, I think that does work according to
Yeah,
me.
that is exactly what it
According
means.
to
It's
definition.
just
The
that's
whole
where
mass of air surrounding the Earth.
Wait. So Ed, really, like your argument right now is atmosphere doesn't mean air around the sphere. Is that really your argument right now? The definition of the word is your problem.
Saying that's not how you define words, though.
No? How
Yeah,
do
it
you
is.
define words then?
yeah, atmo means air. Sphere means fundamentalist religious presupposition that air's taking the shape of a sphere. That's what it means. You don't have to like it.
Ed would have you believe
Not
that
what
if
it
I
says,
say
though.
today's show, that would mean tomorrow's show instead of today's show, because I can't define the words.
So meanwhile, the horizon's not a physical geometric sphere edge to give them tangent planes to actually work on the flat plane we use. So they're begging the question fallacy that needs R hasn't got Earth curve to get R. Their refraction needs R. So saying refraction, don't you understand refraction? No, your refraction needs R. Still same game over.
Really? Can you show a citation where it says you need R?
Yeah, it's called terrestrial refraction. Look it up.
Why don't you ask your boy Andrew Thomas Young?
Called terrestrial refraction.
So
Look
I
it
have
up.
to look up your argument?
No, I don't claim terrestrial
No, that's
refraction,
yours.
Dumbo. Let's just point out that Ed, last refuge of the dying argument, reverse the burden of proof. Let's get it clear for Ed. Your claim is Earth has terrestrial refraction because, according to your claim, the light bends around the sphere-shaped air that you assumed earlier, that I pointed out as sphere-shaped. That's how your refraction works. It's based on R and based on atmosphere oxymoron. That's what your radius value is used when claiming refraction. It is called terrestrial refraction by you and your claim of a globe. Not me, I don't need to cite it. I know what it is and what you claim, you Dumbo. Not my claim, your claim. Your claim that Earth atmosphere has terrestrial refraction. Light bending around at the radius of the atmosphere sphere-shaped air. That's your claim, you stupid idiot. Reverse the burden of proof. How dumb are you?
Meaning anything. You're telling
Chanting
me about
through me,
it,
I see.
so can you
Chanting
cite
through
it?
me, I see. Didn't listen, I see. Just chanted
I'm
through
not
that.
claiming anything.
Just mute Ed, find out what just
I'm
happened.
asking
Let's
you
just
about
mute Ed, because he does actually need muting. Did he just chant through every word that I just said? I repeated my rebuttal to his apprehensions that we have sphere-shaped air, light bending around to cause refraction at the rate of R, called terrestrial refraction. Did you just chant through it all, Discord server?
Not all, but the ending. I give him
Just the
credit.
ending.
For a
He didn't
citation.
chant through all of it.
Citation for
That's so
your
difficult.
refraction. Sorry, you claimed refraction, Ed. You said you don't know how refraction
No,
works.
I'm not claiming.
You're chanting through me, Ed. Do you mind? Do you mind, Ed? Do you mind? Do you mind, Ed? Chanting, censorship, editing my words. Yeah, do you mind? You claimed refraction, Ed.
I never said terrestrial.
You are
refraction,
claiming
though.
refraction, Ed. You keep censoring me.
But
now
not
you're
terrestrial.
censoring me, Ed. Why are you muting me, Ed? Don't you like me pointing out that you've claimed refraction?
I'm not
I haven't.
claiming terrestrial
Ed, yeah, Ed, I'm gonna have to
refraction,
kick you out.
Nathan.
You don't seem to like losing. You're just losing and talking through me because you're losing. I'll try again,
Don't
fourth time.
seem to like
Fourth
listening.
time, man. Chant through it, man. Mute it. Chant it. I'll try again, Ed. You came in and you claimed
All right,
refraction.
yeah, all right.
Chant through it, man. Chant through it. Fundy, mute it. Seventh time. You came in and you claimed, don't you know what refraction is? Now, your refraction, we've got plenty of citations from Andrew Thomas Young, it's been pointed out to you, is an R-based refraction called terrestrial refraction. Now, you've then flipped the burden of proof and told me I need to cite it. Now, I'm telling you, your claim is refraction, and your refraction's based on R called terrestrial refraction. It's the refraction that works in your atmosphere that you denied was sphere-shaped air. Now, you don't have to like it, but that is where you lose. I don't have to cite Jack, it's your claim.
I never said terrestrial refraction.
That's what your refraction is. You're just ignoring my rebuttal. R-based, atmosphere-based refraction is terrestrial refraction. Now, the fact that maybe you don't know this and you're saying, well, I didn't strap on the word terrestrial, like I give a crap, you're asserting Earth's a sphere and that's sphere refraction. You don't have to like it, it's a fact. Now you're saying, I have to prove it's your fact. No, I don't.
You claim it's a fact, so...
Okay, you cite your refraction then. You're saying refraction is the explanation for black swan, so you cite... Ed, don't chant through me. You did claim refraction. Now you cite your claimed refraction. What is your refraction? What type of refraction are you referring to, Ed, as you're claiming it and demanding I cite it, even though I already know and have told my audience? But you disagree. So now you can cite your citation for your claim of refraction in response to the picture on screen called the black swan. Let's see your citation for your refraction and see if it works with your oxymoron atmosphere. Go. Get it. Citation now. Refraction, you said. Give me a citation for it.
You claim terrestrial...
Don't tell me what I claimed, you dumb globe head. You claimed refraction, now you're going to cite it.
You said terrestrial.
Don't tell me what I cited. I haven't cited anything. I've ripped to pieces your claim that I don't know what refraction is. I do. It's terrestrial in your globe model. You're saying I haven't claimed that. No, well, then you don't know your own argument, and I do. Then you're saying, well, you better cite my argument then. No, that's called a burden of proof reversal fallacy. That's me repeating where we're at in the argument, and you now failing to cite your argument? You're going to fail to cite it then? So we'll ignore you. You're not going to back up your claim of refraction then? You're not going to cite it. Your claim, Ed.
No. Actually, you're not backing up your claim.
I'm not making a claim. You claim refraction. Bye-bye, Ed. Your time here is over. Get out of my show. You're an idiot. I've asked you to back your claim of refraction. You're now making a burden of proof reversal fallacy again, where it's suddenly my claim I've got to back this citation. No, I pulled apart your uncited claim, which is refraction, based on globe refraction requiring geometry, it being based on R. You've said, no, you need to now cite that that's what I'd argue. No, go fuck yourself. Get out. You're on mute. Just for Ed's information, I've muted you, Ed. You have been muted now. Clear? You can't speak anymore because you're on mute, because I have now muted you at the point you lost badly. And when asked to cite your claim of refraction to explain these two horizons on screen for my audience, you told me it was my claim and I hadn't cited anything. That's why I muted you, Ed, because you're no longer going to take part. You won't be saying anything from here on in, or interrupting me constantly and claiming I've muted you when you're talking through me to deny the fact that you haven't got a refraction claim here. It needs R and a geometric horizon. Okay, buddy, you're now muted, just so we're clear. I won't be hearing a response from you because you're muted now, dickhead.
That's embarrassing to bring up refraction and then not have a citation for it and make it seem like you brought up refraction and asked you for a citation.
All Ed's got. It's his standard fair burden of proof reversal fallacy. It's his only tactic.
Yeah, but it's part of this is their biggest argument against the black swan, and he's not comfortable with it.
But they seem to be too dumb to understand that the refraction that they're talking about is the terrestrial refraction Nathan's mentioning to them. They think that's a different type of refraction because they're referring to light. And effectively, they're claiming that the terrestrial is affecting the Earth per se, and they're talking about light. But what they're not understanding is, like Nathan's explained, that for that light ray to be bent around the curvature of the Earth to just refract sufficiently to be seen at those distances, that's the begging of the radius. That's where the R-based assumption comes in. And they just can't seem to understand that the terrestrial refraction is that R-based measurement of the light curving around this ball to be seen at these distances that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, and at which point the response you get from Ed is, cite it for me, Flat Earth Solar. That's your claim that light bends around the Earth, isn't it, Solar? Because you're not a flat Earth with the name Flat Earth Solar. You're claiming light bends around a sphere. So now you can cite that for me, so look, as your claim of globe Earth refraction at R based, because I didn't say terrestrial refraction as a globe believing fundy. I didn't say atmosphere and sphere shaped air with light bending around that. No, I just said refraction. The reason he's doing that and then has to fundy mute and censor me pointing it out, and your succinct summary would have also been completely interrupted had he not been on mute, is because that's the bait and switch I described. He didn't say terrestrial refraction. He just said refraction, an effect you can easily show in a photograph. So when he says refraction and then claims that that's light bending around a sphere Earth, it doesn't need to be said because it's a swindle. But it can be interrupted when that swindle's pointed out, which is what he did.
And some of them are so retarded, like going back to your car analogies you sometimes draw. It's like him saying, look at my Nissan. And you go and you look and you say, no, but that's a Honda. A citation, please. And you say, well, there's an H, there's a badge on the front of the vehicle. Hi, citation. It's your vehicle. What were you trying to tell me about your vehicle? No, I say it's a Nissan. And you say, but it's a Honda. Look.
The citation for his claim that
Yes.
he doesn't even know he's making.
Yeah, number one, he doesn't know what he's claiming. He's claiming terrestrial refraction. He doesn't even realise it. Or he does, and he just knows that at this point in the argument, he's got a bait and switch, so that when that switch occurs, we're into begging the question of an R-based refraction on a sphere. So you don't know that refraction, well, he means that light bends around a sphere when he says refraction, but he doesn't want the audience to know that, and he knows that that's the end of his argument when he can't get an R to claim the refraction that he's actually claiming, but says he isn't. So he's got to be crafty.
Well, if he's a baller, he believes he's on a sphere, and light would have to bend around the sphere. So what's the problem, baller?
Yeah, that's the problem, because when he says atmosphere, he's saying, beg the question that light is going to bend around a sphere with air that's sphere-shaped and light bending around it at presupposed R rate. And that's called refraction. We say, well, you need the R for that. I didn't say terrestrial refraction. Citation for terrestrial refraction, please, flat earther. Prove that that's what I'm claiming. It is. Here it is, an Andrew Thomas Young citation. That's not what I said. I just said refraction. Well, your refractions are based. Rumpus, 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 fundy, mute, fundy, mute. That's the argument.
Can I read the citation, even though we don't need it?
Yeah, I'll bring Ed back in at this point, because I couldn't be asked to get it. You're off mute, Ed. You wanted a citation.
So far, we have ignored refraction and drawn the line of sight to the apparent horizon as the straight line OG. But in the real world, there is some terrestrial refraction between the observer and the horizon. The line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight, but curved. So let's try to allow for that curvature. End quote. Andrew Thomas Young, San Diego State University.
So as you demanded
Rest in peace, Ed.
As you demanded a citation from us, Ed, for your claim of refraction causing this black swan image to have a different position for a horizon, that's refraction. It needs R, which you can't get if you haven't got a geometric horizon, Ed. Same point we got to when you started funding, muting, and censoring. So your refraction's terrestrial refraction, Ed.
So now you got your citation, Ed. Now what? No, nothing.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Ed, because that's where your argument ends. No, it's not refraction, because you'd need R for your refraction to bend light around an atmosphere, sphere-shaped air that you denied. Yeah, you'd need R for that, Ed, and it's debunked by this image on screen. Black swan, mate. No R. Horizon's not a physical tangent point sphere edge anymore. It's been debunked. So how are you going to get R to bend light if you haven't got R?
Well, this is where a glober could be honest if they choose to be. They could say, well, I didn't know refraction was based on R. Now that you've educated me, I'll come back when I investigate a little bit. But he's not even going to do that because he knows all along it's based on R.
Ed knows. He knows when he's screwed. That's when he knows tactically when to start rumpusing. Maybe crying foul that he's getting muted at the end of his argument, not when he's making the claim. We all heard him say refraction. You know, we all heard the claim. Then we pointed out how it failed, and obviously that means foul on our part against him? No, I don't think so. But then when we get to the conclusion and the thing is demanded unreasonably so for his claim of refraction that we should be citing, now we've done it and he's totally silent. Why? Well, because the globe's dead. He hasn't got anywhere to go from here. He needs R, he hasn't got it. No Earth curve.
The initial question I posed to him was, Ed, is the horizon Earth curve? Question mark.
He didn't answer that either, though, did he?
What's that?
Oh,
Didn't
you
answer that
unmuted me
either. Same
finally.
silence we're getting now.
Took you
He
long
said
enough.
refraction, which meant welcome to flat Earth. He found him muting again?
Yeah, he only wants to talk when we're in the middle of a conversation. Now he's off mute.
Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised you took me off mute. Took you long enough.
Horizon Earth curve, yes or no?
What a coward.
Yeah, total coward. You know your globe's dead. We know it's dead. Horizon's not Earth curve. End of argument. Welcome to Flat Earth, Ed. Your silence speaks volumes.
Oh, you're talking to me. Yeah, there's a citation
really
of refraction
does.
in the Ballbuster live stream. There you have
They
it.
also
What the hell are we
start to
talking about?
demonstrate the
Let's change the
selective
subject.
mutual.
Hold
Is the
on.
horizon Earth curve, Ed?
Hold on. We demanded a citation.
There's actually
also.
nowhere in that it says radius. So
Where's the citation? Let's have a look at it.
How do you have a curve without a radius to curve around?
We're just going to have a look. Let's have a look at his citation. Has someone brought it up? Thank you for getting it, Ed.
yeah, again, it doesn't say radius in there anywhere.
I don't know where it is. Where'd you say it is? I'm going to actually go and do it for a change.
Ed, do you understand that when you say the light is curving
Hold on.
around the ball?
Where's the citation, Ed?
Discord. Ballbuster thing.
Ballbuster side chat.
Ballbuster live stream text.
I can't see it. Can someone else see it? Can anyone else see where Ed posted it?
Are you talking about the Wikipedia you put, Ed?
Yeah, and the screenshot beneath it that says radius
This
0
Snell's law
times pound.
Wikipedia?
Have you got it, Chocolate?
Ed, question.
Just
Are you
posted
talking
the
about
same
the
link in the
Wikipedia
live
Snell's
stream
law?
chat.
Hello? Okay, can I get confirmation?
My God, it's like pulling teeth when it comes to globe Earth evidence.
Right? All right, I'm going to assume it's this because I'm not getting a response, so give me a second.
Snell's law is what he's.
Okay, so that is the one. Okay, thank you. 1 second. Master B, Nathan, in 2 seconds.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Snell's law.
Ed? So this is talking about Snell's law. Light refracts. Yeah, okay. We know.
Mm-hmm. So, can you show me the citation with R? Not seeing it in here.
Yeah, light refracts. We don't disagree. How does that have anything to do... Okay. Do you want to show us how Snell's law applies in the atmosphere you mentioned? We don't deny Snell's law. Light refracts. Yeah, we know. How does that apply to a globe? How does it claim... I haven't finished asking my question, Ed. Just calm down. We've got a picture.
Oh,
it's
I'm
called the
very
Black
calm.
Swan. Fundy muting begins. It's called the Black Swan. Now, in the Black Swan, our assertion is you don't have the claim of Earth curve in a representative position. Yeah? Now, you're saying refraction. Okay? So refraction has moved an assumed geometric horizon to a non-geometric position. Correct?
Go on. What's your argument?
I'm summarizing your argument. Are you dumb? Is this the end? Are you finished? Snell's law. Yeah, light refracts, we know. Is that it? How does that prove that a physical geometric sphere edge horizon has moved into a non-geometric, non-physical, non-Earth curve based position? Just presenting Snell's law. Because light deviates, a geometric horizon moved position. How does that argument make sense? It doesn't. So is this the end, Ed? Because you're not really making an argument by saying light deviates.
Why doesn't it make sense?
Because
Light
how does that
refracts and you
explain?
agreed, so how doesn't it make sense then?
Ask that 3 times as I answer. Ask 3 more times rather than through me.
No, I just asked once. You heard me. So
Excellent.
that's
I'll
the
respond.
answer.
Excellent. Thank you. I heard. How does it not make
Well, then where is it?
So you are going to
you
talk
waited?
straight through me, you total wanker? I'll try again. 3rd attempt. So our argument is as follows. If the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the distance to horizon in the Black Swan is beyond those geometric limitations. So your assertion is Snell's law in response to that, correct?
The light refracted, so
We're not talking about light in the
that's
argument.
very obvious that the light refracted.
So is
You
there any
can
more
see
to it?
in the
Okay.
oil rigs? Why are you finally muting me? Did the show die?
Nathan,
Sorry, is that
hit
the end?
chat.
Guys, is that the end of your argument? So Snell's law, do you want any further expansion? There won't be any muting. Feel free to expand on it to the fullest extent you feel capable. Then I'll respond.
All right. You can see it's obviously distorted, highly refracted due to the oil rigs. And since those are part of your argument, because that's where you take the measurements from, by the way, from a globe model, Google Earth, you have to include them, and everything is distorted, so yeah.
I see. So every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height of feet is the argument. And you're saying Earth curve is refracted, correct?
The thing you're looking at is refracted, yes.
So Earth curve isn't an obstruction for boats and buildings, then it can be refracted.
It's both, actually.
I'll ask again. So Earth curve is not, as asserted in Earth curve geometry, an obstruction for boats and buildings then. It's refracted.
It is an obstruction, and it is refracted because we don't live in a vacuum.
Sorry, it is an obstruction as per the geometry. No, it isn't. On screen for my audience now is this image called the Black Swan. And the Black Swan shows that that is not the case. The horizon is not Earth curve blocking boats and buildings in the Black Swan. You're wrong.
Oh, really? So you can see on forever in that picture?
No, we can't see Earth curve.
Oh.
Sorry. You going to fundy mute my response? I'll try, second attempt. No. We can't see Earth curve in the Black Swan.
How do you know? You can't see forever. You don't know what's behind it.
Labelled on the picture for my audience, there is a demarcation. It's actually excessively beyond where the geometric horizon would be claimed in the geometric maths as asserted in Modus Tollens. If the Earth was a sphere radius 3959, then Earth curve would be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the geometric horizon. It's marked on this picture with a red line. Geometric horizon. Not an actual location. So no, you are incorrect. The horizon in the Black Swan is not Earth curve.
Geometric horizon doesn't take into account the atmosphere, and in fact we have refraction. Neither does the black swan, so it's a fallacy. And you can't see what's behind this so-called horizon in the black swan. Therefore, you don't know if the Earth still curves behind it. So it's a double fallacy.
So Earth curve doesn't take into account refraction. So when it is being muted immediately, muted immediately, I see. Every single time I start responding, he mutes me.
No,
pointing it out.
that's incorrect.
So Earth curve is not obscuring boats and buildings because it is potentially refracted. So therefore, the assertion in Earth curve geometry that we have an obstruction called Earth curve at a geometric location isn't true according to you, because Earth curve is refracted. So the horizon isn't Earth curve as labelled in the geometry then.
It does obstruct, but the place where it obstructs depends on the amount of refraction.
So Earth curve obstruction isn't actually something that could be categorically defined because it would change with weather then.
You can define it if you don't take the atmosphere into account.
When does that happen?
What do you mean? When does what happen?
Said you can see Earth curve when you don't have atmosphere as a consideration.
You can see Earth curve.
Yes, that's what I just said. Third time. When does that happen?
All the time, but it's refracted.
So we can't see Earth curve because of refraction.
You can see Earth curve, but the part where it obstructs depends on the amount of refraction.
But then it's not an obstruction if it's dependent on weather. It would be a physical hill. Hills don't obstruct based on weather. They just obstruct. They're physically obstructing things. It's not, well, it will obstruct today if it's foggy, and it won't obstruct tomorrow if it's clear. If something's behind a hill, it's behind a hill. And in the picture on screen for my audience, the horizon isn't where the geometry says it will be to block things. That's beyond absurd. This picture debunks that. That's what the black swan is. So you're saying, well, it is an obstruction.
It's perfectly fine.
I'm still talking, Fundy Mute. If it is an obstruction, why isn't it obstructing?
It is obstructing because you can't...
No, it isn't. On screen. Don't just deny what's on screen for my audience. The geometric horizon, Earth curve, is not obstructing these oil rigs. It's behind them. That's not what's occurring. You're just denying the black swan. It's not obstructing them.
But you can't see on forever. Again...
Sorry, you've just said it is Earth curve. It is obstructing. It just changes with the weather. No, it isn't obstructing. In the black swan.
It
Have
is
you
obstructing.
forgotten? I'm still talking, Ed. Please don't Fundy mute me again. I know it's the end of your argument. There's no need to Fundy mute me, though. No need. I know. Clearly, you've forgotten what the black swan is actually showing. No, it's not showing an Earth curve edge obstruction, Ed. It's not obstructing. You're wrong. Have you forgotten what the image shows? There's no Earth curve in it.
You can see forever. So.
Why are you asking me whether or not we can see forever? We're arguing about Earth curve, and you're saying it is blocking things, but it depends on the weather. And I'm saying, no, in this picture, it is not blocking things. You're wrong. Why are you not asking me about how far we can see? Do you realise that the death of your argument is literally on screen for my audience because it's not blocking things? Earth curve isn't blocking things in this picture, Ed. You're wrong. Fourth time.
If it's not blocking things, then how come we can't see forever?
Right, what does that have to do with an Earth curve edge obstruction that's supposed to be blocking things that you said is blocking things? It just depends on the weather. Now you're asking me a completely non sequitur. So the horizon's not Earth curve, Ed.
It is, but...
No, it's not. It's not blocking things. We've just established that. And you asked me why we can't see forever, rather than conceding that it absolutely isn't blocking things in this image. You're wrong. Fifth time. I'm going to have to kick you out, Ed. You just don't seem to be conceding or acknowledging my point. You said Earth curve will obstruct
Well,
things,
you're not listening to
and
my
now you're
point.
talking through me because it's the rendition that you ignored 5 times.
But you're
So you're going to
not
Fundy
listening
mute the
to me.
6th rendition, and we're going to have to kick you out again because your time's over. I'll try a 6th time, Ed. You said Earth curve
Go
will
ahead.
block. No, you are going to Fundy mute the 6th rendition then, coward. Try again. See if you can actually respond to it rather than ignore it, and then reassert that Earth curve is obstructing things when it is not obstructing things in that image on screen for my audience called the Black Swan. You've just forgotten what the image actually shows. The horizon is not Earth curve in this image. You are wrong. 6th attempt. Don't just ignore it and say that it is, because it's demonstrably not. It's on screen.
The point where the curve blocks your view is the
It doesn't. 7 times. You're really starting to piss me off. It's not blocking our view. Don't just ignore me 8 times in a row, right? I'm going to really start getting angry with you, Ed. You are demonstrably wrong. That is incorrect. It is not blocking our view. The horizon is not Earth curve. The image on screen called the Black Swan shows that. That's what it shows. It's not blocking anything.
Then how come we can't?
Don't ask me. Right, the horizon's not Earth curve, Ed. I need you to concede that. This image proves that. And you're going to ask me something, you bloody coward. 8 times, mate. Not reasonable. It's not blocking things. You're wrong.
Then how come we can't?
Don't ask me something about how come. You're gonna attempt to ignore this, you bloody coward, 9 times.
Muting me, Nathan.
9 I'm not muting you. You total projecting coward. You're gonna now telling me that you're muting me, i.e. Ed is being muted by... No, you're talking through the 9th rendition you've ignored to go on to assert that it's blocking things. It isn't, Ed.
Then how come we can't?
Don't ask me something about how come. Right, Earth curve, you've claimed, is an obstruction, dependent on the weather. When I point out, no, it's not obscuring Jack, you start asking me a question. No. Concede, you fundy scum. Your argument's died. Why are you ignoring and asking me something? And 10 attempts after the conclusion, when your claim that horizon is obstructing things because it's Earth curve, it isn't in this image. Don't ask me a question. Concede. The horizon's not Earth curve, Ed.
We can't see forever in that picture.
Who cares? We're not seeing Earth curve. It's not obstructing things. It's beyond the limitations of Earth curve. Who cares what we can see? It's not your sphere, Earth.
Like I said, the part where the curve blocks your view is...
It doesn't! 10 times! It's not blocking our view! My God, you're a fundy zealot chanting that it blocks your view because you need it to block the view because it's a physical Earth curve edge obstruction, a horizon that gets in the way. It's not getting in the way, Ed! Have you forgotten what the Black Swan actually shows?
It shows we can't see forever.
It shows we haven't got an Earth curve edge obstruction. The argument, modus tollens, is... If the Earth's a sphere, then every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's your Earth curve obstruction. And you're saying when it obstructs things, it doesn't, it isn't. We've debunked it, it's on screen. And you're going to keep telling me, well, what about why we can't see forever? I don't give a crap. We don't see Earth curve.
The part where the Earth curve blocks your view is...
It doesn't! Doesn't block our view, stupid mong. That's 11 times! It's just going to chant, ladies and gentlemen, over and over again that where the Earth curve blocks the view, that's the geometric horizon, it's not doing that, Ed. That's the point of the argument. That's what modus tollens is. That limitation you're describing is not demonstrated in this picture.
It's dependent on refraction, so yeah.
It's not in the picture, Ed. Depends on refraction. What are you talking about? There's no geometric horizon to see.
Yes, there is. Just
no, there is no geometric horizon to see. It doesn't exist. It only exists in the maths, Ed. Maybe you're going to tell me to cite that too.
No, it exists. It's just refraction.
No, it doesn't. It only exists in the maths. You think it exists. You keep telling me after 11 attempts with this image on screen where it absolutely does not obscure things, and you're going to tell me the point where it obscures things depends on refraction. Well, no, we don't have the point where it obscures things, Ed. That's the point of this image. You've forgotten what the image shows. The horizon is an Earth curve, Ed. That's what it shows in the picture.
Then how come we can't see forever in your picture?
Who cares? We haven't got Earth curve. That's a fascinating question about optics, Ed, that we as flat earthers are very interested in and have been looking at for the last 5 straight years. Welcome to Flat Earth. You can look at optics with us too. Meanwhile, we don't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. That's what this image shows. There is no Earth curve edge that would be somewhere blocking stuff, but has moved, because you haven't got one to move it with, and you need R for your refraction to move it with. 11, 12 times, man. You fundy zealot.
The Earth curve is refracted.
I really think that if
What
it was
Earth
flat,
curve?
we would just see forever.
What Earth curve, Ed? Earth curve is the geometric horizon. What Earth curve?
The one that's there because we can't
It's
see
not
forever.
there. That's 12 times. It's on screen, right? It says here geometric horizon. It's just a bit of ocean. There's no horizon there, Ed.
Did he just
Then
say
how
the
come-
one that's there, but we can't see it?
Yeah. He's saying it's the one that's there. It only exists in maths. We can't
Then
see it.
how
It's
come
not
we
there.
can't?
And now he's going to ask me how come we can't see forever. When I make the conclusion, he's got to mute it. He's got to fundy censor the fact that he hasn't got that horizon that he's saying would be there if we could see it if there was an atmosphere. That horizon doesn't exist, and that's what the image shows. Fact, one horizon only. Yours is geometric, and you're saying, well, the geometric one we don't see would be doing this, that, and the other. It doesn't exist, mate. It's not there. It's not on screen. It
We
doesn't
see
exist.
it's just refracted.
No, it's not in existence to be refracted because your refraction needs R and a geometric horizon to get it.
If
That's
you
not what-
can't see it, it's not a horizon.
Yeah, and you're moving it with an R-based horizon that you can't see.
Where was this radius in the citation I showed?
Sorry, you said refraction, and refraction in an atmosphere takes an R-based refraction to move a horizon that's Earth curve. The argument's about Earth curve edge. That's what it's about, Ed. Every distance to horizon, that's
So
every
you're moving
distance
to
to
a
Earth
different
curve.
citation
Fundy mute
then.
me again. Fundy mute me, you coward. Just before I round up, I'll show you. Fundy mute the censor the ending. Censor the ending, it's the conclusion, Ed. The argument's about the horizon. Every distance to Earth curve. That's the geometric horizon. Your Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And that Earth curve is where you get R. So if you're going to say you're moving the horizon with refraction, then you're going to need to get R, and you're going to need a geometric horizon to get it. And you're saying, well, we don't have one. So if we don't have one and it only exists in maths because of refraction, then you can't get the R to move it. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus Panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980. Oh, why is my camera on? All of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out the link below to get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. What a day! What a lovely day!